My name is John. I am 73 years old. For most of my life, I lived by the clock. I worked 42 years in industrial glass manufacturing. I watched sand turn into sheets of clarity day after day while I slowly became opaque to myself. I was a good man. I paid my taxes. I mowed the lawn. I saved for a rainy day, never realizing that a storm was brewing inside my own body.
3 months ago, the storm broke. Stage 4. The doctor's office didn't smell like sawdust or life. It smelled like bleach and finality. I remember looking at a digital clock on the desk. It was 2:14 p.m. I thought to myself, so this is the minute the rest of my life ends. The first week is survival. You tell the kids. You update the will. You nod while the oncologist talks about aggressive intervention. But like you said, Norman, it's the second week that breaks you open. I woke up at 4 a.m., the time I used to wake up for the factory, and I realized I didn't have to go. But I also realized I didn't know where else to go. I looked at my hands. They were calloused from years of labor, but they hadn't created anything in decades. When I was 20, I wanted to build furniture. My grandfather was a master carpenter. He used to say, "John, the wood tells you what it wants to be. You just have to listen." But my father said, "John, the factory tells you what your paycheck will be, and you need to eat." I chose the paycheck. For 50 years, I chose the paycheck. After the first round of chemo, the world turned gray. My mouth tasted like pennies. My bones felt like lead. But one Saturday, I crawled out to the garage. I pushed aside the boxes of old holiday decorations and uncovered my grandfather's old workbench. I picked up a piece of raw cherry wood. I ran my thumb over the grain. It was rough, stubborn, and real. I started to sand. I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to feel something other than the sickness. Cancer is a thief, but it's also a teacher. It strips away the noise. I don't care about the neighbors' opinions anymore. I don't care about the news. I care about the way the light hits the curls of wood on the floor. I care about the look on my daughter's face when I handed her a hand-carved spoon last week. I told her, "I'm sorry it took me 73 years to make you something that didn't come from a store." She cried, not because I'm sick, but because she finally saw me. We are all walking toward a horizon. Some of us just have a better view of how close it is. If you are waiting for the right time to be who you actually are, look at me. I'm 73, I'm tired, and I'm finally, for the first time in my life, happy. Don't wait for a diagnosis to give you permission to exist. The wood is waiting. The canvas is waiting. Your life is waiting. John, I hear you. You're asking for the depth, the detail, and the sheer volume of a life lived for 7 decades. While I can't output 10,000 words in one single go, I can provide the next massive plank of your story, part where the responsible John dies and the real John begins to emerge through the sawdust. The chemotherapy is a strange companion. It's a slow poison you invite into your veins to kill a faster poison. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m., I sit in a chair that feels too soft, surrounded by people who are all fighting the same invisible war. We look at each other with a kind of recognition that healthy people can't understand. It's the club nobody ever wanted to join, but the membership fees are everything you own. During those hours, I don't think about the shipping manifests or the 4 decades I spent worrying about whether a crate of auto parts arrived in Rotterdam on time. I think about my grandfather's hands. He had these thick, scarred knuckles. He used to tell me that wood is the only thing that remembers its history. A tree keeps its scars and its rings. If there was a drought 50 years ago, the tree remembers. If there was a fire, the tree carries the charcoal in its heart. I realized sitting in that infusion center that I am like that cherry wood I found in the shed. I've been carrying the droughts of my life, the years of holding back, the years of playing it safe, and now, at 73, those rings are finally being exposed. One evening, about a month into treatment, the house was quiet. The kind of quiet that feels heavy. Martha was knitting in her chair, and I was just staring at my hands, which were stained with walnut dust. "John," she said without looking up, "you've spent more time in that garage in the last 3 weeks than you have in 30 years. I didn't know what to say. I felt a surge of guilt, then a surge of something else, honesty. "I'm making up for lost time, Martha. I'm realizing I spent my whole life being the man I thought you needed, but I forgot to be the man I actually was." She stopped knitting then. She looked at me, really looked at me, and her eyes got watery. I didn't need the pension as much as I needed you to be happy, John. I thought the factory was what you wanted. That was the moment I realized the great lie of the practical life. We often sacrifice our joy for our loved ones, only to find out they would have preferred our joy over our sacrifices. We were both victims of the same responsible ghost. I've decided to build something impossible. I'm not just making bowls anymore. I'm building a lute for my grandson, Leo. He's 16 and plays guitar in a way that makes me feel like I'm watching a bird fly. A lute is complex. The ribs have to be bent with steam. The soundboard has to be planed down until it's as thin as a secret. It requires a level of patience I never had when I was working for a paycheck. But now, time is both my enemy and my greatest resource. When I'm in the shop, bending a piece of maple over a hot iron, I'm not a 73-year-old man with a prognosis. I'm a craftsman. The steam fills the room, and for a moment, the smell of cancer is replaced by the smell of toasted wood and resin. My son came over last weekend. He's 50 now, and he's got that same shipping industry look in his eyes, tired, hurried, always checking his phone. I took him into the shop. I didn't give him a lecture. I just handed him a block of cedar and a pocket knife. Sit, I said, just for 10 minutes. Don't check the phone. Just see if you can find a shape inside that wood. He looked at me like I was crazy, but he sat. And for 10 minutes, we didn't talk about my treatment, or his mortgage, or the world. We just sat in the shavings. At the end, he looked at the little pile of cedar curls on his lap, and he breathed, really breathed, for the first time since he got out of his car. I forgot how this feels, Dad, he whispered. Don't forget again, I told him. Don't wait until you're 73 and have a tube in your arm to remember that you have hands.